let's dive into the world of acting. Today, we have an actress based out of Toronto, Canada, Sabrina Knappett, who has a plethora of experience in both narrative and commercial acting. We are going to learn her approach to her craft and how she navigates some of the most difficult parts of her career. And most importantly, we are going to touch on the most common struggle that every actor faces: rejection. So if you are looking to see the industry and the world of an actor and how you can survive such a competitive field, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. All right, so today we have Sabrina Knappett. I said that right?
I think so.
Okay.
We'll go with
Knappett, an actress here based in Toronto, Canada. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are as an actress and as a person.
Ooh, okay. Well, during the day, I am an actress, and by night, I am
vampire.
Yes. I'm a boring person, day and night.
Yeah.
So hello, my name is Sabrina Knappett. I am an actor. I'm like, oh man, I have to be interesting.
This is your thing. Like you being in front of the camera.
Gotta be interesting. I don't have any lines. What am I gonna do?
This is an improv. This is like the longest improv you ever do.
Like, I can make myself interesting. I've been to space. I'm just regular Joe. I used to actually work in admissions at George Brown College.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I hated it. It was so bad.
Why'd you hate it so much?
You know what? It was like that 9 to 5 working at a desk. I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. It was like the day was 8 hours, but it felt like 24
I know
hours.
what that's like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My dad was like, I can't do this anymore. And then I was like, okay, let's take some acting classes. Why not?
Yeah.
I really liked the acting classes.
Yeah.
Right before I switched jobs to George Brown, I was at another college, and my boss came in and he's like, I need a volunteer.
Okay.
And all of us are like,
Everyone's shy.
for work? No, I don't want to volunteer. And then he was like, you. And I was new. And I was like, yeah. He was like, I need someone to host this business series that we're doing.
Okay.
And I was like, what? He was like, here's the script. So it shoots tomorrow. And I was like, script? And then, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was like 10 hours. It felt like 2 hours. And I was like, this is way better than being at a desk.
Interesting. And then
like,
that's how you started with performing.
And then I was like, I'm going to take some classes. So I'm like, good.
Yeah.
It's like, that was, they had like me hosting and then like students as the actors. Oh. Man, it was
So
it was rough.
So you took acting as like, was it a course or did you just take classes on the side?
I signed up for classes on the side at like Second City.
Okay, nice.
And so I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like it. And then after that, I did more of like an acting studio.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. They tell you like how bad you are.
Oh,
well,
that's all acting classes, right? Like you're never good.
Well, you know what? I'd rather, but like some are like, that was great.
Right.
And then you're like, was it though?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you could like, they record you so you see yourself.
Yeah.
And you talk about it.
Well, you're
like,
not seeing yourself on the screen while it's happening.
No.
Okay, I was gonna say that's terrible.
There's like cameras recording you as you're
see.
like, I'm acting.
Yeah.
And then like after you do it,
Yeah.
you talk about like how it probably should have gone.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, that makes more sense. And then you do it again. You're like,
Yeah.
that was better.
Yeah, it's crazy because I don't know if you know this, but I took acting for 2 years in Humber.
No way.
Yeah, I was the guinea pig for the acting for film and television course.
What year? Yeah, of course. What year was this?
It was the year it released 2013, I want to say, or something like that. Yeah. I took acting for 2 years. I stayed back in high school to take drama for 1 year because I wanted to know if like this is what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be filmmaker. I just didn't know what I wanted to be. Yeah. Right. And then so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to acting. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's the easiest one. I don't know how to use a camera, but I know how to use my tears. You know,
Sat on the inside.
I know how to like, it's therapeutic, you know. And then I got into Humber and I did it for 2 years. So
that's crazy.
So I know exactly what you're talking about when you're taking these classes. It's like you're never good enough because that's how it's supposed to be. I guess that's the craft.
Yeah. Because I actually took like one acting class. I won't say where.
Okay.
But like it was, you know, you do the scene.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, that was great. I'm like, well, what else?
Right? Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to get better if you're like everything is pretty good?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Like, it's not pretty good. You're lying to me. And then I left. Yeah. And then I went to EVN Studios. Shout out EVN Studios.
Nice.
Yeah. And like, I really, I learned so much there. I learned like more in like 2 classes there than like 6 months anywhere else. It was crazy. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And what made you learn so much from that place?
You know, it was like a combination of practical stuff. Like when you're an actor, I don't think you realize that the majority of your life, as like unless you're a celebrity, unless you're being like offered roles, right?
Yeah.
The majority of your life is auditioning.
Yeah.
So you have to be very good at auditioning because and not getting the role. So with auditioning, it's like the practical stuff, like where are your eye lines? If there's multiple people, who are you talking to?
I see.
How do you start?
It's almost like the etiquettes that you need, right?
Because like, you know, it can seem pretty obvious if you're green. Yeah. Because like this is before COVID. When you actually had in-person auditions, which I had a few. Like I started acting right before COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
It was like November 2019, I think was like I did my first like student assignment.
Really? But didn't we work together before that? I swear we worked together before that.
November 2019?
Was it November 20? I don't remember
like,
when we shot that.
No, that was after. That was like 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was like right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And what was I just talking about?
The practicality of acting.
I love how I like still don't
the
know
etiquettes of acting.
That's right.
Yes.
Auditioning. In-person auditions. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're not prepared for that in the real world, I'd say. Because like even if you take classes, even if you take like a program, it really doesn't compare to, let's say, walking into a casting session with like a table of 8 or 10 people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, hi, have a seat. I'm like, oh, okay.
And it's like, you know, they're telling you, slate for me, please. And you're just like, what?
Slate, like a chalkboard. What are you talking about?
Like, exactly. What are you saying?
You know, what the hell are you talking about? What's your name? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know my name.
I don't know where I am. But yeah, like auditioning, they'll just be like, whenever you're ready. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And all the time. That's
whenever
the scariest
you're ready.
line.
I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Because like, and then like they usually have the camera and you're like, do I start sitting? Do I stand? Do I walk in? And like things like that, like when you take an auditioning class, specifically auditioning, not just scene study, like, and it helps you, because usually it goes something like this. They're like, okay, like, come on in. Hi. Like, thank you for coming in whenever you're ready. And then you do it. And they're like, that was great. Now try it a completely different opposite way that is not the same at all. And may make no sense to you. And you're like, oh my God. Okay. But if you take a class, it helps you just get used to that. Yeah.
Exactly. Because a lot of the times they're testing to see your diversity in your skill set. Right? Like a director you might be a talented actor, but the director may be like, you know what? I want a little bit more like this. And they got to see in your audition that you're able to adapt.
Exactly.
Right. And that catches a lot of people off guard when you don't know that.
Oh my God. And also like, as an insecure actor, like,
aren't we all?
Aren't we all just in life? Like, I suck. Because, you know, you'll do it. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, try it this way. And you're like, oh man, that was wrong. Okay.
And you're like beating yourself up.
I know. And I'm like, oh, but it's like live.
And
like, okay.
It's
like, we want to see your interesting choices. I'm like, oh yes,
that is fascinating.
Interesting choices.
Honestly, even go from an actor to a director to a DP, like now being behind the camera, like I know what you guys go through. And like sometimes like there's no way to like make it any easier for you. Like, what do I say? I don't know. Like,
so weird.
Don't freak out. But if I say that, that's freaking you out.
I'm like, but what do you mean?
You know what I mean? It's like if I say like no pressure, that's putting pressure on you.
Oh my God.
So it's almost like all you can say is like, I guess I just say whenever you're ready.
You know, you're like, what's the director's handbook? Whenever you're ready.
Whenever you're ready.
Like, but you know, like as an actor, you do your best, right? And what I find is I've gotten such positive feedback when I'm just myself.
Yeah.
Not like myself as the character, but I'm like, it's my genuine interpretation.
Yes.
And like when you try and make it, oh, I think this is what they want.
Yeah.
That's where you go wrong.
Yes, right? I agree.
Because it's like, even if you're not right for the part, which happens, like you could be a very talented
99%
actor.
of the time you're not.
But that's like statistics,
that's the game.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like you could have, oh man, because like if you get an acting breakdown, like on Actors Access or something, if it's like a co-star role, which is like, I think under 6 lines or something.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
you could have thousands, like 4,000 submissions.
Yeah. And
like 100 actors get a self-tape.
Mm-hmm.
So just statistically, the
odds
are not in your favor.
Yeah,
they are not.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I found that like, if you don't go for what you think they want, right? You might be wrong.
Right.
But if it's like a genuine choice that you made and it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's a new take on the character. It may not be what they want, but they may ask you to do it again in the way they like it, or they could consider you for another role.
Exactly.
Right? Which has happened to me, right? I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much, right? But it's the times that I've like, I feel like they want this. And like, I just feel like I didn't do what was genuine to me. That's when like it doesn't go well.
I feel like, you know, like one of the biggest beginner mistakes, and I can say that I can easily admit that I made this mistake when I was in acting classes and stuff, was
amazing.
Was you almost see this as like almost like a sport, a competition where you're like, I'm the better actor and I deserve that role. How did blah, blah, blah get that role? And there's so many negative emotions that can go through your head. And it's just like, you start to realize acting is not even, it's not about competition.
No.
It's about you just literally being right for the role. So your interpretation, your genuinity is what gets you that role.
It's, you're so right, Danny. It's like, and I didn't realize this until I was on the other side.
Right.
So like I'm doing projects right now with my very good friend, David. Yeah. We started a production company, Tiny Owl Productions. Anyway, so, but like being on the other side with casting, it's not exactly about who's the best.
It's not.
Because it's like you could have a handful of really talented actors and they all bring something so unique and special. Yeah. But it's like you have to have the right look, the right sound, the right essence. And I remember I was cast in like this 1950s kind of project. Yeah. Right. And like I was cast as like the lead and they needed to cast my husband. Right. And they were like, oh, Sabrina, can you sit in on the casting? And I was like, oh, okay.
It's like a little bachelor game for Sabrina.
Well, I was like, ooh, I get to see like what it's like on the other side. Right. Yeah. And I was going to like read my part and they're going to like play off of me. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had a few actors audition and like, to be honest, it was down to a couple of actors. Right. And one of them, so good, so great. Yeah. He made really great choices, really warm, really, really friendly. It was amazing, but he wasn't right for the part. Yeah. And that's when I was like, holy crap. It is not about you. Yeah. It's not about you. It's not about how good you are. Okay, you have to be like good though.
You still
like,
have a standard.
Know your lines and like make good choices and be good,
yes.
right? But like if it's down to a few talented actors, right? The majority of the time, it's just nothing to do with you.
It really. I think once you hit a certain level, once you get to the point where you're, I would say maybe you're a constant professional, right? Like this is what you do. It's not about how good you are. Everybody's good at that point. Everybody's good. Yeah. They're just good at what they do, whatever it is they do. And it's no different behind the camera, right? Like even as a producer, director, DP, whatever you are, right? Like you might be the greatest sports video or a commercial director in the world, but you might not be able to shoot McDonald's, right? So it's the same thing with acting.
Exactly.
You know, it's the same thing.
Like, and it could be, and I don't think enough actors realize that. And then you internalize it as like you failed.
Yes. Yeah.
And what's difficult about being on the acting side and being on any side is very difficult. Being a filmmaker is so hard.
All of it's difficult.
It is so hard in this industry, in any art industry, really.
Anything.
Like singing, dancing, everything, right?
Yeah.
But as an actor, you can feel like you're failing constantly because you do your auditions and you don't get feedback. Yeah. It's just
silent.
Nothing.
Yeah. So you go home with your own thoughts.
I know. And you make up your own reasons why you didn't get the part. It's not like, oh, you're actually too tall. The lead's too short, like in comparison.
Yeah.
Or it's like, we already cast a brunette, right? Like we need a blonde.
Yeah.
But you don't know that.
You don't know that.
You're
they
like,
don't tell you that.
I'm terrible and I'm a piece of crap. I should go work somewhere.
And I think that's probably one of the most common things for any actor. It's almost inevitable that you're going to face rejection and absolute anxiety from that rejection.
Oh my God. And like for me, getting personal now.
Yeah.
You know, you do so many auditions or you apply and you just don't hear anything. You're like, okay. You're like, all right. It's lost in the mail, even though I applied online. But like, you know, you do so many auditions. Mm-hmm. It's not the not here. It's not even the not getting the role, which is disappointing, especially when you really want it.
Yeah, especially if you feel like you're the right one for it.
Yeah, you're like, that's me.
Yeah,
like,
so
no,
me.
It's not. The director's like, it's not.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the not hearing back, and then just the constant silence is when you start to really think like, maybe I'm not talented enough to be in this industry.
Right.
It's me, right? Like I must be the only actor that's getting rejected this much, but you're really not. And I've had conversations with other actors and I'm like, hey, like, how do you feel about this? And they're like, oh my God, I feel the same way. I'm like, oh my God, we're such losers. Like we don't tell anybody, right?
Yeah.
And you're just kind of feeling like it leads to people leaving the industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, and as a filmmaker, it's like an actor, it's so hard to just kind of get the initial momentum.
Yeah,
right?
it's tough.
Because once you get the momentum, right, like someone sees your work and then blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But like getting your foot in the door in, let's say, a professional sense is difficult. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it just feels like you're the only one.
How did you build yourself to the point where people started taking you seriously? Because I know when I first started acting, nobody took me seriously.
Oh my God.
What was that journey like?
Oh, this journey is still going. Okay, so yeah, I think, I took these, the first thing I did, right, is this is a great time to be an actor or a filmmaker, in my opinion. Yes, there's a lot of competition. Yeah. However, the amount of information that is out there that is free. Yeah. Like free advice, how to do filmmaking, how to do a shot, how to work all these like cameras and stuff. I'm like, I have no idea how to work any camera. I'm like, I love my analogies, like how to do a camera. But like in terms of acting, it's very different from, let's say, the 80s, 90s, early 2000s when like you apply to these agencies and hope you hear back.
And hope for the best.
And you have no idea like how to do a resume, what's a reel. But like I went on YouTube. That's the first thing I did, right? I was like, how to be an actor. But like, it was a plethora of amazing free information. It's like, this is what you need to start doing. Like build your resume, do student films, do free indie projects.
Get experience.
That's what I did. And I was like, okay. And you know, a lot of the practical advice is like, don't quit your job right now. I'm like,
yes, please don't do that. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I started taking the acting classes as I was working. Cause it's like, the most practical advice is, I think, which ironically is the most important that a lot of people that enter this industry as actors don't realize is you have to know how to act. Yes. Yes. You have to know how, that is
it's more than just being pretty.
I'm like, but you know, it's like, oh, I want to be an actor. And I went out and got some headshots. And it's like, okay, well, what have you been in? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what student films have you been doing? Like, what classes are you taking? Oh, I haven't done any of that. I'm like, well, I doubt I'm going to be seeing you in a couple of years. But that was kind of like the first thing you learned. Like that's what I learned on YouTube. Like, take acting classes. Yeah. Develop your craft. Go to auditioning classes. Scene study. Once you start kind of getting confident, then you can, sign up for all the websites. You know, go on Facebook. Student films. All the time, always looking. I joined all of I would like acting, and then I pressed enter, and it was like acting, and then I joined all the groups. Yeah, it's like, hey, we're looking for someone to volunteer their time and stand here and say.
But it's a volume game at the end of the day, because you don't know, right? The director's the one that chooses who it is, not you, right? So you've got to put your name in the pool. You have to.
And I think you know, a lot of people are afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Right. But you just have to do it.
You just have to do it.
Like,
the more you do it, the higher your chances are.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game,
It's a
right?
numbers
Like
game.
I have friends in sales and they're constantly rejected, cold calling people.
Yeah.
People screaming at them, get the hell away from me. They hang up the phone. But it's like a numbers game,
But that's
right?
what it is.
And like, so, you know, I signed up for all the websites.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was like, oh, this student film seems great. And then, you know, you do it. I think I did, oh man, how many have we done? I've done like 50 or 60 like student projects.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, because I want. Damn.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah. Stuff, right. But like, it helped me, one, obviously, get experience auditioning.
Yes.
Because even if you don't get the role, like auditioning for something, it really helps.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if on set experience. And I think what a lot of actors don't realize is like, oh, I don't want to do student films. I'm like, why would you not want to do student films?
That's crazy.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
I'm like, yeah, well, obviously it's free.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're nobody. What do you mean?
Like, yeah, what do you
want a trailer? What are you talking about?
Man. That's the worst mentality you can go into this industry with.
I'm like, okay.
You gotta let that ego go.
Well, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
As a filmmaker, as an actor, I'm like, you need to realize, besides acting, like besides taking the acting classes, you will not make money at this for a very long time.
Yes. Yes.
You need to be able to work for free and gain the experience
you do.
And make connections.
It's the connections mostly.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Sometimes getting the connection is just like, if I know you, I'm likely to offer you the audition without you even trying. And then you're already in my favor because I already know how you work and I know you're the type of actor you are. So immediately, if I go and you could unintentionally influence the script. You know, a lot of times, because if I look at like, who are my actors? Because I'll be honest, like, I don't want to go on a worldwide search for the casting. I don't want to do it. Yeah. That's a lot of work.
Yes.
Right. And that's a lot of budget coming from behind the scenes. It's a lot, right? Like I'm sitting, I got to like meet, I got to organize a space. I got to get like, there's 20 people sitting outside waiting. They're all nervous. I'm like, I got to, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'd much rather just hire a friend.
Exactly. And I think, again, that's another thing. This industry is built on relationships.
It really is.
And it's not, I wouldn't say, it sounds like nepotism in a way. And I'm like, I could kind of see that. But like in any industry, you know, when money is on the line, time is on the line, right? It's like if you are pointed in the direction of someone you know works hard, who can do it, who has a great attitude, right? Then you're more likely to, again, reach out, offer a role. But like, that doesn't happen right away.
It doesn't. And not at this level.
Not at this level.
Like, I mean, come on, let's be real. Like, we're not here having Brad Pitt's, you know, as options.
He's not here. I thought I saw him in the waiting room.
You know, like at the end of the day, like we're all trying to be resourceful and trying to help each other grow into whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
At the end, like that's the thing. Like I don't want to spend a month looking for the next Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
I need to see somebody who's just talented, I can work with, and let's make the best thing we can make. Yeah.
And like, especially like being on the other side where like, you know, I'm writing scripts and like casting people. Again, sometimes I write with an actor in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I write the script and then I'm like, hey, you busy? Great.
Yeah,
come on in.
exactly,
you're
right?
in this film now.
Yeah.
And this industry is based on relationships.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, even starting with like the free indie projects, student films, it's like, you never know who's going to make it.
You don't know.
Right? So it's like, why not build a network of great people?
Yes.
And they can think of you in the future. I know it seems like it's you doing it on your own, but it's really not.
Honestly.
It's really not.
It's really not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, like you don't know who's on the crew. Like, you know how many times I've been on a commercial set and I'm just like, that grip is an amazing DP. I had no idea. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm on set and I'm just the swing.
Yep.
And everyone thinks I'm just like a swing, right? Like, hey, you know, like,
hi, here's your coffee. You're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. But you never know.
You
right?
never know.
You never know who you'd meet. There was one set I've been on, a commercial set. Every single person on that set was an amazing DP. I started following them like, holy crap.
You see their Instagram, you're like,
Instagram, holy shit, like everyone here is so talented.
Yep.
You don't know when you're going to meet the next director.
No.
That loves you. That might be the style that you have.
Exactly.
You have to take that chance.
Yeah.
You have to dive.
And like, especially with, you know, people that are learning their craft, right? Like, you know, students.
Yeah.
It's like, in 10 years, they could be in the industry.
You don't know that.
It's like,
exactly.
and if you're a jerk.
Yeah, you're an asshole. Yeah.
Remember when you said, I'm not doing this? This crap?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I started obviously just doing, I love how like we just like 5 minutes are just tangents. I love it. But it's like, yeah, learn how to act.
Yeah.
Start working for free. Be prepared to not get the role a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to do this, you're going to have to really dedicate your life to it.
Literally.
Yeah, because this industry, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
Right? And like I was supposed to be, for example, like you never know what's going to come up. I was supposed to be in a short film on the 19th and 20th, right? I was like all set to go. And then I just booked a commercial, right? And I was just like, okay, sorry, I can't do this. I really want to. I am so sorry, but I have to do this, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I have no idea where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it too.
It's the free life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
it's like the monotony of sitting behind a desk. But you know what? I've known people that love it. They love like their 9 to 5. They love the security.
Yeah, and that's great.
They love the stability.
Yeah, hey.
They love the hours. They're like, I have my weekends.
That's majority of people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, I have no qualms about that.
I know.
I respect that, right? But like, I guess, you know, as artists, it's a little tougher to understand for people to understand that almost like you're living a life of anxiety. It's this constant, like, I don't know when I'm going to fail, but I fucking love it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, for me, I'm like, yeah, okay. I like that, you know, I get to be on different projects all the time.
Meet different people all the time.
Meet new people. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like work most of the time.
Yeah.
It gets stressful.
Of course.
Of course.
My God,
right?
yes. Does it ever?
I'm like tired. I'm like, hey, I wonder like how big these bags under my eyes are going to be like tomorrow.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like it's not made for everybody.
No.
That's a lifestyle.
And you gotta love it. And I think that people that really want to do it, like just do it, because you never know, right? Even if you find you don't like it in a couple of years, at least you tried it out. Because like I feel like regret is kind of like the biggest thing.
Is that your biggest fear, you'd say?
I would say like in terms of like life.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like I don't want to be like, like 80. I'm like, I wish I did this.
Worst
I
feeling in the world.
wonder if I could have done it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's different than being like 40 and being like, oh, I tried and I was really bad and like it never went anywhere, but like I tried. Now I'll go and do whatever. Right. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I love the industry and the industry is so small. Yeah. It's like you follow someone on Instagram.
World.
I'm like, oh, you're following 23 people
exactly.
that I already know.
That's what I've noticed too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like regret is honestly, it's the scariest thing. And then no, like, I mean, I've seen like research and documentaries on people talking about how they spent time talking to people who are like, you know, terminally ill and especially people who've lived long lives, you know, and the number one regret is just not doing what they wanted to do.
Yeah. And
I think as an artist, you have to be able to find the courage to keep doing that thing.
Yes.
Because it's going to get hard. Oh. It's going to feel like you're never going to feel like you're good enough. I think that's a common thing, especially in acting, because you're literally judged. Like you're quite literally
like rejected.
Literally someone's like looking at every orifice. You can't be great because you have a weird like this, you know, like, you know, it's always going to be like that.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to be resilient enough to say, it doesn't matter. I'm going to stay true to me and I'm going to keep doing me.
And that's such a good point, Danny. Like for me as an actor, and I think with a lot of other actors, like I personally suffer from like imposter syndrome.
I think all of us do.
It's so, it's crazy. You know, especially because like, you know, I think on Instagram and whatever other social media platform, you just see so many people succeeding.
Yeah,
right?
Because that's like, all they post.
That's all. It's like, I'm not going to be like, I'm having a terrible day. I was just rejected from 4 films.
And here goes a tear.
And there's like a stain on my shirt. I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but when it's so many people, right? You just feel like you're the only one like not succeeding.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much just, again, you're just posting the highlights of your life.
You really are.
Right. And, you know, for acting, oh my gosh. So social media is like a blessing and a curse. Because like before, you know, you could just, let's say you don't get a role.
Yeah.
Right. You eventually might come across the project and like see who was cast.
Yeah.
Now you're like, I wonder who it is. Just look at the credits and like look. Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you start to like compare, and you're like, oh man,
It's so easy to do that, to compare yourself to somebody else.
Yeah, but it's like, but you know, again, everyone is unique, and I'm happy that I'm like starting to learn this so early in my career, where it's like you just have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because no one can be you. And that's the thing. Like with acting, we're all auditioning for the same role, but casting or whoever is looking for you as an actor.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do? Especially if it's like, you know, there are some obvious choices.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're at a funeral, you're not going to be like, oh, this is great. Like in the room, this is such a great time. But, you know, everyone's going to kind of do certain beats similar, right? Because that's what the script. Hopefully you gather that from the script.
It's
like,
there in the script.
I mean, like,
if it tells you should cry, you should probably cry. You know?
You're not like doing cartwheels, right?
Yeah.
But like, but like, you know, again, I might interpret it differently than another actor.
Yeah.
And like, if you think it's unique and this is like, this feels right to you, just do it. Because I've not gotten roles, but I've gotten really nice, you know, messages from casting saying like, oh, we had to go with another actor, but like, we love this, and this, and we're going to consider you for this role, or I have to refer you to someone else. And it's like, if I didn't do that, I probably still wouldn't have gotten the part.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have been like not memorable too.
At least it's you.
Yeah.
And like if you did what everybody else did,
yeah,
then it's just kind of like you kind of just blend into the crowd, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar. I think it was, I can't remember who said it. I think it was 50 Cent who said it. I could be mistaken, but he said like people send him audition tapes all the time and he'd be like, yo, this guy's fire. This guy's fire. He sounds exactly like Lil Wayne. He's like, why do I want Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne already exists.
Yeah.
Like, why do I want another Lil Wayne? Makes no sense.
Exactly.
Right. And I think it's the same thing when in artists, like it, you know, music is art, but like it's the same thing in our craft. Like I say the same thing with production, being behind the camera. Like I'm not going to copy exactly how everyone does their thing. Right? Like I have a little thing that's a little different.
Exact shot euphoria that I'm going to do all the time.
Now, obviously as a DP, like there's references and people like the references. Yes. Like there's an element of that in everything. It's like acting. Like this, like sometimes director will show you and be like, watch this movie. I want you to be like J-Lo or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
Yes.
But if there's always that little bit of little nuance Sabrina that comes into the performance that you should always keep with you.
Yes.
That just makes it that much more authentic.
And I think also if you do that, yes, it's hard not to take it personally. And I don't mean like, you know, F this, blah, 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 right? But I mean like personally in the sense that like, because you're so close to the character and it's like you're portraying these emotions and you might be crying and like, this is your take on it. And you spent like so much time preparing. And then they're like, just like, like no response. Yeah. You're like, oh no, I'm bad. Yeah. And then you internalize that. And then you're like, I'm not good. I'm not talented. I should just leave the industry. And a lot of people leave within like 4 or 5 years because like, it's just constantly that.
Which is, it's sad. But like at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't have what it takes to stay in the industry at the end of the day, like, I'm sorry, you're not made for it. And no matter how good you are.
And that's the thing, right? It's like, and it's hard, you know, because it can seem like, oh man, this person just started and they're so far ahead of me. But it's like, you know, for me, oh man. Okay, so personal again, like these stories. So it's like, you know, you go on social media, you see like, oh, this person got that. This person just booked this. This person is on TV. Yeah. Right. They just got actor. I'm like, So, but I was like, with acting, it comes in waves for me. Yeah. So it'll be like so much at once. Yeah. And then like nothing. Yeah. And then so much. And like with those low periods, it feels like nothing is happening. You're failing. Yeah. And I just like, when you look and see what people are booking and what you're not booking. It's not real.
Yeah.
Because the amount of auditions that every actor has to do to get rejected. Like I was watching this again, I was on YouTube because I was like, actors that got rejected, enter. There's a lot on there. I was watching, I think it was like Brie Larson. She has her own YouTube channel and she did 2 videos where it was like jobs I didn't get. And it was like thousands. She was like scrolling on her phone. She auditioned for like all of the Star Wars movies, like Big Bang. I can't remember if it was Avatar or something like that. Just like all of these giant blockbusters, and she didn't get it. But it's like, oh, but you know her as Captain Marvel.
Right.
Like, oh, you know her like as this and this. She's so successful. And it's like the amount of failure
that it takes to get there.
Yeah. And like that's what people don't really realize.
So how do you handle rejection yourself? Like, I'm sure it was very difficult when you handle your first 100 rejections. Probably it was probably
rejections, constantly rejected.
It was probably a lot harder early on, but like
all of my failures.
How did you handle it?
So, you know what's funny? It's like when I first started, again, when you first start, you're doing the student films and not even like the thesis films because you're so new and your resume has nothing on it.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's like you have nothing on your resume. Just like, it's like, what are you going to do with your first, you don't have a movie.
Yeah.
Like you don't have directing credits. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right. So it's like for practical advice, you know, take acting classes so there's something.
Yeah.
So you're a well-trained actor and you have something on
At least
there.
you have qualifications.
Yeah, because like someone's gonna look at you then. Like if someone applied to one of my projects with like nothing.
Yeah.
Which I've seen. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I posted, I'll come back to like, you know, how I took rejection because there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
But like, so I was casting for this project. Like I did the dialogue for, and like I'm also in it. It's in post-production. So I posted it and it was like a small honorarium, which is like, as soon as like it goes on Facebook and there's like some amount of money, it's like 100 comments. Like it's been 5 minutes. Damn.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, I specifically put, please send in a headshot, like an acting clip or your reel. If you do not have like either of those, which can happen, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're new. I'm not going to be like, you're new. But like send something, send a monologue, send a scene that you've recorded with your friend, anything. I got one guy just sent like a picture of him in a doorway, like mean mugging. He was like, and like that was it. There was no resume.
Jesus.
There was nothing. I was like, what am I gonna do with this? So like just know if you're new in the industry and you have acting classes and like you have a nice photo and you're very professional, you're already light years ahead of so many people.
Yeah.
Which is what I found.
Yeah.
People have told me, it's like, oh yeah, you said hello so-and-so, here's my, I'm like, doesn't everyone do that? And then I got the doorway picture and I was like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Doorway
That's
guy.
how you know you're like you're in the game already.
Yeah. And like,
you're just waiting for your time.
Yeah. You're at least,
you're in
the
line.
First step.
You're in line now.
Like the door's over there.
The door's over there. You're in line. Yeah.
But so there, you know, you do that, but when I first started, so I had like the acting classes and I signed up for like Mandy, right?
Of course.
Everyone's
Yeah.
So I was looking for like student films.
Yeah.
Right. And like I applied to a bunch of them. I heard back from a lot of them, right? Because a lot of them, again, with student films, it's like you have an assignment for a first year versus like a fourth year thesis when let's say the students actually have a few $1,000s to put into the production, right? So you might get cast in one of those, but realistically, if you have no clips, nothing, you're probably looking at like smaller stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because like I think the first thing I ever did, oh my God, I played I don't even remember. I was like some lady.
Yeah.
And I was like supposed to cry.
Yeah.
And like I had one line off screen and like they cut the line off screen and I was like, amazing. This is so good. Can't wait to put nothing in my reel. But like, so you apply like the small stuff, right? Then you get the experience and put that on your resume, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When you first start, again, the bar, it's so low. The bar is so low. Be polite, have a picture.
Right.
Have acting classes. You might get cast in like an assignment.
Yeah.
Once it started and I was cast in like all of them, right? like, I think every project that I applied for that was really small, like first or second year I got.
Yeah.
But like, as you continue, the rejections start coming.
Once the productions get bigger.
Yes. Once the productions get bigger, it becomes more about like, okay, now we have again, a pool of actors that are applying, that were polite, that have a headshot and a reel. And then it becomes more about like, who's the best fit for the character, as opposed to like, who memorized the lines,
who's good
today?
Enough to show up,
who actually showed up,
who's
today?
Actually going to show up. Yeah.
So it's like, once that started happening, I was like, oh, maybe I'm bad. Because like, I was like, it was going so well before. What happened? Yeah. But it's not that I got bad. In fact, I got better.
Right.
But just the amount of people applying, and it's more about like, what they need for the character.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of just kind of take it. And like, again, I talked to other actors. Again, I went on YouTube.
And that was like, your way of coping with it? Just like seeing other people talk about it?
Cause like, I watched like Brie Larson's videos, like that really helps. And then I watched, Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yes. Yeah.
So she did an interview and she was saying how like, I think like the average working actor that pays like their SAG dues in the States, right? They get like 1 in every 67 auditions on average. But like statistically, you're like, okay, so it's not like every 1 in 4.
I know. I went to 10 and I was like, I want to quit.
Right. But like not 9 in a row, you're like, 20 in a row. You're like,
Right.
But I guess just, again, being on the casting side, I try not to take it personally. Like, again, it's hard. It hurts a little bit. Yeah. Right. Because it feels like you're being rejected as opposed to like being at a desk and like, but if Jim didn't like your pie chart. I'm like, I don't care, Jim.
It was 4,000 applicants that got or that went. 3,999 got rejected.
Yes. And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's statistically.
You're not alone.
Oh yeah, you really aren't, because like one person got it.
Exactly,
like
one.
Almost 4,000.
You got to think about
also
one
sad.
person. Yeah, exactly.
On the couch,
and
going,
it's easy to get yourself caught up in that mode, and it's like, I think being a filmmaker is the same thing. Even though as a commercial producer, whatever, DP, whatever, like especially as a DP, like you can get sensitive about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like someone, all of a sudden the director you worked with last time that you thought was like your buddy, all of a sudden goes with a different DP. That could hurt you sometimes. Yeah. You sit back, you're like, well, I'm not good enough? Like, you know what I mean? And like, it's easy to get caught up in that. Yeah. And I think in the acting game especially, it's easy to get caught up in that.
Like, because again, because you could see all these projects, right? Yeah. And especially like, because I see directors and whoever, producers posting casting calls, right? And I know them, and like I'll apply. Like it happened a few times. Like I didn't hear back. I'm like initially, pain. Oh, I'm terrible. But then I'm like, ugh. Like I've gotten such great feedback from them. I think I'm just not what they need for that project.
Yes.
And like, that's how you really have to think about it.
Yeah.
And it really helps you kind of in other facets of life as well. Cause like, like I used to work in customer service. Awful. But like that helps with like communication.
And talking to people, especially first time meeting them.
Yeah.
Patience.
Trying not to like,
regulating your emotions. I'm like, control my impulses. Right. And like, but like, being rejected from all of these roles, it like helps you not take things personally in other areas of your life. Like, constructive criticism, right? I don't get that from acting. I just get silence. Yeah. But just knowing that I don't take it personally. It's like, oh, someone said something about you. I'm like, oh, that's okay. Look,
like that, okay, like
that's what that's the game though, right?
Yeah.
Like the way, like there's something that I always say, I love no. That's the funny thing, because if I hear no, I'm doing something right. That's the weird, it's as ironic as that is, I'm doing something right. Like there's a part of my story that like when I share with people, they're shocked. When I was early on in my videographer phases, right? I had like this whole list, like it was like 11 retainer clients, and I didn't know how the hell I was gonna handle all of them. You know why I had 11 retainer clients? Because I was undervaluing myself, right? And everything that I offered, it didn't matter what the budget was, I said yes to it, right? And so my schedule got filled up, and then I sat there and I told myself, I'm like, I'm gonna raise my prices on all of them. I'm gonna double, triple. I'm make them say no, because if people aren't saying no, something's wrong. You know what I mean? Like if everyone's saying yes to you, something's wrong. That means you're undervaluing yourself. You need to hear no.
Okay.
And then when you get to the same thing on the acting, when I bring this back to acting, it's the same thing. Like you can go get all the student roles you want because you've reached to the point where your skill set is at a professional level. Like you're making money doing this, right? It's the same thing for me. Like I'm making money being a DP and as a producer and director of these commercials. Like I'm making money doing it. So if I've developed a self-reliable business off of this type of stuff, now I'm in the pool of like really good people. And if I'm hearing no, that means that I'm in the right competitive field. If I just hear yes, it is so easy for me to go and just do every $500 gig that's available out there. And just make videos for people and make a living making tons of money because it all adds up. Right? But then I'll never really ever improve. And I think it's the same thing with acting. If you don't go after the gigs, after you hit a certain skill set, obviously, a certain standard of skill, right? You can keep going to those student films and feeling comfortable and feel great about yourself. But at the end of the day, like, where are you actually competing? Like, you are playing in the minor leagues the whole time, thinking you're, you know, the Superman of the world, but then you're too scared to go after those gigs that like maybe one day you're gonna be going up against the next Brie Larsons or the next Scarlett Johanssons or whatever the big names are when your time comes.
Exactly.
Right. And how do you handle that? Because if you don't prepare yourself for that and you don't prepare yourself for the rejection there, because those people reject it all the time. Right. If you don't prepare yourself for that, like you're staying in your comfort zone. And I think that's where it's all about going out of your comfort zone to then do something that you one thing that I've always said that every single year I want to surprise myself. And what I mean by that is I want to do something that scares me every year, no matter what that is. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. I want to do something that scares me, that I'll go look back and be like, I didn't think I could do that. Like, holy shit. Like I did that. Like I actually like, what the hell's wrong with me? But that's what I want, because at the end of the day, like that's what helps you grow. And I think as an actor, I think that's vital that you do so, you know.
And because like, again, amazing point. It's like, you have to learn.
You have to.
And like you learn through mistakes, you learn through not getting things. Right? Because it's like, again, it's like being in that acting class when it's like, yeah, that was good. I'm like, okay.
Like, where does that get you?
Right?
Right.
And I'm like, and that was like when I just started too.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just like, what do you mean? It was probably
I
terrible.
can't be perfect yet.
I've seen like footage of like myself like my first couple months. I'm like, no, burying the archives. But like, like you have to be able to start applying for the bigger projects. Get used to hearing no, but once you're used to it, it doesn't really affect, like, I don't take it personally anymore.
I think it teaches you the most important lesson, which you obviously have a good understanding of, is that, like you talked about it, of like, you stop worrying about what the rejection and the result. And you focus on you. And you focus on, okay, what can I do to help myself or make myself a better or more versatile actor? One of the best lines I've ever heard when I was in acting class was, I think it was Al Pacino said it. Every actor is an emotional athlete. That's what they are. They're emotional athletes. Right? You got to be able to perform on the spot. And it's like you're pulling emotions. This isn't like performing athletic, gestures or whatever. Like, this is actually like you're pulling emotions. Like, that's what you're doing. Happy, sad, everything, right? Angry, whatever. And I think to be able to do that, you have to almost be so like in tune with who you are and how you feel, and like, you can't be that egotistical person who's just like, oh, I never cry because I'm tough.
I'm
Then what happens when you need to cry on the spot? What happens if you need to cry on the spot, right?
Like for me, I remember actually like the first time I was able to cry during like an acting class, right? I was like, holy crap, right? But like, I just kind of like let go, and I wasn't thinking about it. And like, I was just like putting like, one of the best quotes that I've heard. I can't remember who it's by. It was something along the lines of like, acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances, right? So it's like you're in the moment.
I like that.
Yeah. And like, well, also acting, one of the other best kind of quotes and like what people say during acting class is like acting is listening.
Yes.
It's reacting.
Yes.
Right?
That's like number one thing you learn in acting school.
Yes.
Acting's listening.
And you feel like, okay, like what are my lines, right? Like you're waiting, and just like in real life, you're waiting for the other person to finish so you could chime in with something really interesting, right?
Yeah.
But like during a scene, a lot of the acting is like in between the lines.
Yes.
Right? It's about the nuance and the subtext.
1000%.
And like really, and that's where you start to connect with the emotional aspect of it, right? Because like if someone says like, you know, my cousin is just died in a car accident, right? Like in the scene, right? I shouldn't be thinking of, oh, that's terrible, right? And that's my next line. It's like, just take that in and listen to what the actor is saying, right?
Yeah.
And then that's like living truthfully under the imaginary circumstances and then
it's fascinating.
Listening.
Yeah. The listening part I think is the hardest thing, because I realized a lot of beginner actors, at least the ones that I've, you know, I'm not gonna name any names obviously, but the ones that have been a little less experienced that I've worked with, is a lot of times they tend to just think about their lines.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like if you kind of compare it in a fight analogy, they're almost just only thinking about throwing punches. They're not thinking about how do you defend against a punch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And defending is the listening aspect of things. What do you do in between your attack, if you will?
Yeah.
Like if your line's your attack. It's a weird analogy, but you know, I'm in the fight.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
But you know, yeah, it's the listening, right? Like you have to like be in that's when your chance to be in the moment. That's your chance to almost like, how do you feed off the other actor that's in front of you, right? Are you actually listening to what they're saying? Because then that could kind of influence the way that you react to your next line. And if you guys keep reacting really, like it just becomes cohesive, and the more cohesive it is, the more authentic it is.
Exactly. Because it's like also and like everything builds, right? Because like, again, listening, being in the moment, it's like you only know the information that your character knows.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like, if I'm like, hey, how are you? Right? And then you have some kind of amazing like news. I don't know that. Right? So like, I can't be thinking about how I'm going to say my next line because you tell me the news.
Because you technically don't know your next line.
Yeah. Because you're not supposed
to know. You're not supposed to know your next line.
It's like, but you know, but you're not supposed to know.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's like, and that's what comes across as like, sometimes it feels like, oh, I feel like, you know, it kind of seems like they're just saying their lines. Like, you know, they're just trying to get them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you're nervous too, right? Because you've got the camera on you. A lot of the times there's a crew.
Big lights.
Yeah. You're behind. It's like, okay, we got one take. You're like, okay. Great. It's going to go great.
You got to hit your marks and you got to like,
But it's like, if you're able to kind of just start from the ground up, right? Really take the time to study, because I am still learning. I learn every day something new about like myself or acting or like something along those lines, right? Even if it's just an interview, right, with another actor that I like to watch. Really successful actors that talk about the stuff between the lines, the reacting, right? And like things that they didn't know when they started out, but like they start to know as they get better. So yeah, I just like, in terms of, I'm like, what were we talking about? Rejection? Oh yeah, I'm rejected so much. So like in terms of like getting rejected, as long as I know that I did something the best I could and it was genuine, it was my take on the character, I am fine with that. I like let it go. Yeah. Because like there are some projects that I really wanted and I did not get.
It's part of the game.
Yeah.
That's honestly, it's part of the game.
And it's like you read the breakdown and the script's so great. And you're like,
I've always wanted to do this role. Yeah. It'd be so good for my reel. Yeah.
Right. And like, but again, you know, it was so funny because like a lot of the time when you get a side, right? And like for the people that are watching and listening that don't know, a side is like a piece of the script, right? So like as an actor, you don't get the whole script. Yeah. You don't know what's going on, right?
Frodo
like,
doesn't destroy the ring.
Yeah, you know, you're like, who's Frodo? Well, that's because you get like a page of dialogue, right? And it's like, Simon's talking to Judy, who was talking to Stephanie. I'm like, who's Stephanie?
And you got to discover that.
Yeah, and you have
interpret
to
it.
Yeah, like so. What I like to do is I like to read I was going to say script, read the sides.
Yeah.
To see if I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I don't, and then I don't do the audition. You know, just to see if I like it, just to enjoy it, right? Because I want to enjoy the sides of the script, right? And then after I start to kind of break it down and like, who am I? Who am I talking to?
Yeah.
Who, what, when, where, why? What time of day? What do I want? Blah blah blah. And like, if you don't know any of the people in the scene and like what happened before and what happened after, like it's up to you to, I want to say make it up, but to make it up, right?
It is, yeah.
Right? And so as long as you, and like my acting coach, Earl, hi Earl, I don't know if he's ever going to watch this, but he was like, you know, he would talk about like, it's like, okay, you have to make a choice. We're like, and you hear that so often, you're like, what do you mean a choice?
Yeah.
But it's like, I remember we did this one scene where like we're looking for our father, right? Yeah. And oh God, it was so terrible. So like our father's missing, right? And like what happens in the class is, you know, when it's auditioning, you get the sides the night before, like he'll send it out, and then you like make your choices and like memorize all your lines, and then you come in and they're like, okay, who's going first? Okay, all of us leave, right? And that person goes down, right? And he does that. He's like, and when you're ready, and like like the camera's going and like you go.
That's intimidating.
But it's great because it's like it prepares you for auditioning, right?
Right.
So, you know, you do your scene, and the scene was like you're walking into this like cafe or bar or something, and like you're like, I'm looking for my father, blah blah blah. I watched myself. It was so stupid. I walk in and I'm like, hi, I'm looking for my father. And like, you know, at the end, Earl was like, why are you so happy about your missing father? I was like, oh shit. I was so focused on like, you know, whatever. He's like, yeah, like, who are you talking to? What happened before? I'm like, oh yeah, my father might be dead. That's probably bad.
That's probably a bad thing.
That's probably a bad choice that I made. Right? So, and then it's like, you know, sometimes you have to think beyond the page. So it's like, is your father alive or is he dead? You don't know. What's the most interesting choice is what people say. You're like, okay, what's the most, okay, I'm going to go with that.
Even if it's not part of the script, even if it's not right, you have to make the most interesting choice because directors are looking for actors who can adapt.
Yeah, because like they see the same thing over and over and over again, right? So it's like, if you can, and it needs to make sense with the scene. It can't be like insane, right?
Like there's a lot of interesting choices, but
I made one that made no sense. But it's like, you make the most interesting choice and like hope for the best and be polite. And because a lot of the time it's like, it could be down to like, if it's like a show, right? Or you know you're going to be working with this person for a while. It's like, what kind of person are they too? It's like, do you want them on a set? Very important.
Yeah, you got to spend time with this person. Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
Like, so it's like all of those things. So as long as I'm able to say, yep, I was happy with the choices I made. I watched it over because now it's self-tapes. Sent it in. I may not hear back, or I might. I just try to let it go. And I literally tear up the script as soon as I submit. Yeah. So I don't look at it.
So you don't look at it again.
I'm like, I will not be reminded of this if I don't get it. I like found an old script the other day under my bed, and I was like, I didn't get it, and I was like, garbage.
So like, you know, you get to the point where you know, this has become your thing, right? This is what you do, and I think that's probably one of the hardest things for actors is to make this kind of like their thing. Like they're an actor now. You know, they're not a cashier who does acting on the side. They're an actor now. And a lot of that has to do with like finding your rates. Now I know there's like union rates and all that kind of stuff, but not everyone can get into the union right away. Like ACTRA, you don't just enter ACTRA, right?
Like I've decided that I will be an actor.
Exactly. So, you know, like how does it work for actors who are not in that level? How do you start pricing yourself? Because you're going to enter all these things. I know you talk about going for free, but like at that point, your next stage, you start charging people. What do you do and what's your approach for that?
So I would say, again, it depends on like each person. Right. For me, I kind of made this like list of 3 things. Okay. So like when I first started out, I was like, I will take anything.
Yeah.
Oh, you need like a weird mime? I'm like, I'll do that. Right. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then you start to build your resume and make those connections and things like that. Then you start looking at the footage that you get back and you're like, can't use that. Like, okay, I'm not opposed to working for free. Like I still work for free all the time.
Right.
But like there needs to be some kind of component to it. So I told myself like, okay, I either have to like, there's going to be the very high possibility that I'm going to get excellent demo footage from this for me to work for free. Right. Or, you know, maybe they're going to enter it into like festivals and like things like that and like really talented crew. Right. Or if it's like someone I know that's like offered me the part. Yeah. Like, hey, you want to be in this? I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah. What time? Okay.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like pricing myself.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, to be honest, like for like where I am right now, it's like when I apply to a gig, I can see the price, like the
they give you the budget,
okay. Right? So it'll be like, you know, $250 a day or like something like that, or like $100 a day,
and then you kind of just gauge to how much you want to do it.
Exactly, and like so if it's like low pay or no pay, I'm like I gotta either have excellent demo footage out of this. Yeah. Or like
it's all about opportunity at that point.
Because like I've, to be honest, Danny, like I've done a lot of projects that like unfortunately have not come to fruition, especially with COVID. A lot of them have been canceled, postponed, something like that.
Right.
And like I think student films are so valuable, but again, they're still learning. Yeah. Right. They're learning how to do all of this stuff. And like, you know, when people hear like, oh, are you crapping on student films? I'm like, no, but remember, you know, as a student, as a green actor, you are the least good that you are going to be for the rest of your life. You are only going to get better, right? Fact. So once you reach a certain level, and it's not so much as like, I'm amazing, but it's like the projects that I'm applying for, the demo footage that they're looking for from me needs to be of a certain level, right? Like they need to be able to see me and hear me, right? The angle can't be like 10 feet away and it's like a wide and I'm like in profile. Like I can't be like, here's my amazing monologue, right?
Well, that's partly the DP's fault too, though, at that point. What are you doing? Like, come on, man.
But what's funny is like sometimes a project could be amazing quality, but like the choices that were made from the DP and the director benefit the film. Right. You know, like a really great dolly shot coming from this way and like this and that. But I'm like, I can't use that in a reel. Right. Because in a reel, like it needs to be on your face. You need to be able to see my whole face or like most of my face. Yeah. Hear, like see me, hear me. And it needs to be like dialogue. Yeah. I can't send in, you know, a montage of me like running in a field or something like that. On a drone shot. Right. Because it may look amazing. Right. Yeah. It's like, but you know, if someone's casting, they need to know that you can act. Yes. Right?
So I guess that's a difference between an actor's reel and like a director's or DP's reel. Yeah. Director's DP, you need to show the production value. Yes. Actors, you got to see the face.
And like, because like, let's say you were casting something, right? Yeah. And you got like 10 submissions. Yeah. I'm like, you probably get more, especially if there's money, but still. Yeah. You know, you get 10 submissions and like 5 of them, you know, the actor sends in like their commercial reel because that's all they have, but it's like them walking in slow motion.
You can't get anything from that.
And it looks amazing. Right. But it's like, I'm doing a film about mental health and like someone is struggling with this and I need to see that you can do X, Y, Z. And like the 4 or 5 clips that they've sent is like running in a field.
It does nothing.
Driving a car really fast, holding a gun. It looks really cool. I'm like, well, but that's great, like production, right? And especially if maybe it's, you know, for me, if I'm going for bigger roles that are dramatic or comedic, right? Like, and if I'm going to be like the lead, right? I need to show that I can do that. Cause like, oh my gosh, I'll tell you this. Okay. Yeah. I worked with someone who was really great. Yeah. And they produce films now. And, you know, they sent me like a casting call, like, oh, I thought of you. I'm like, oh, thanks. Yeah. And like I applied because like they're the producer, they're not casting, right? So I applied, and it was like a comedy, right?
Yeah.
And like I got an audition, right? So I sent in my self-tape, and they liked what I did, and like I got a Zoom call back. And like during the Zoom, I was like, oh man, I know I'm not the right fit for this character, but I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah.
Right. So I did it. I didn't get it, right? But you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that same producer sent me another casting call, and they were like, oh, okay, like this is when it's, you know, they're gonna start to look for actors. I'll send you the casting call when it comes out. I'm like, amazing.
Yeah.
So I see it, and then like I see it on Mandy, right? They're like, yeah, it's up. I'm like, okay. So I apply. I didn't get an audition. The director was like, no.
Wow.
Yeah, because like like my clips, they were like, I guess like
it
not
wasn't what
it didn't showcase. Yeah,
right.
so it's like I think you just really, the reel is so important.
Yeah,
like I can't. I like at
especially these days.
Right.
Especially, yeah.
Because like like now that I'm on the casting side too, it's like if someone sends me a montage, I'm like, what am I gonna do with this?
Yeah.
Like there's like a breakup scene and you're supposed to cry and you're like running in a back alley.
I think I made a post not too long ago looking for a photographer.
Yeah.
For a specific shoot. And I was like, this is a sports photography shoot. So in other words, you got to be able to shoot high speed photography. Meaning the talent's going to be doing their spin kicks and their punches or whatever at full speed. And you got to be able to capture that right on the spot. And I was like, please do not send me wedding videography, like wedding photos, please. Like, do not send me wedding photos. People laughed at that, but it's like, it's real. Like one time I did a product shoot and I said, I need a product videographer for this, right? Because I was just going to produce it on the side. And a product videographer, and people are sending me music videos. Like, what am I going to do with this, right? And I think, you know, that's where I think a lot of people have this idea that this industry is about talent. And at the end of the day, yes, you have to have a certain amount of talent, but it's not just about how talented you are. You just have to be the right talent for that job. That's all it is. So like, cool, you're good, but like you might not be right for this. And I think that there's a big misunderstanding. People come in that if I'm the most talented, I'm going to get everything. Not the case at all. No.
Because it's like, it's so true. It's true for both of us, right? Like, you know, because I've seen so many talented actors. It's like, oh, they did such a good job.
Yeah.
Can't cast you. Can't cast you in this. Right. And like, I made it a point to respond to everyone that sent in a self-tape. Not everyone that applied.
Very nice. Wow.
Well, as an actor.
Right. You feel for them.
I'm like, right.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I made a point saying like, oh, I really liked your energy, but they did blah, 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 blah. They have to go someone else, blah, blah, blah. Right. Keep you in mind for the future. Because like, it's not about them, right? It's just they weren't the right fit. They weren't the right talent, right? And as long as you know that and have the drive and you really want to do this,
then you fall in love with this life.
Yeah.
That's when you start to realize, I love this.
God, everybody fails. I don't even call it a failure. You just weren't chosen.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Like you can see it as a failure. Sure. I don't really see it as a failure. I see it as like, this is the game you play.
Yeah.
And like, if you play basketball, like it's a turnover. It happens. You miss a shot. It happens. You know what I mean? Like it's just part of the game. It's not really a failure.
And it's like, again, if they really like you, they'll consider you for the future.
And that's the most important thing. I think staying in people's radar is very important.
What's so funny is like I recently was asked to be part of, I was asked to audition and then I got it. Yeah. But I was asked to audition for this like short film. And we're doing pickups like in January, but like I filmed a bit of it like a few weeks ago. I don't know what time and space is anymore. I'm like, whatever.
Me neither. I'm terrible with it.
I'm like,
terrible.
It was a time ago.
It's my birthday? Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, 19 already. So like they were like, oh, do you want to audition? It was from a producer I worked with in March of 2020.
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't spoken to to him for that whole time.
It's crazy how that works.
Hey, do you want to audition?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I thought you forgot I was alive.
I'm telling you that is something that people need to understand, especially newer people in this industry need to understand. When you make a good impression on people, people do not forget you. That's a very like I've had offers to like be part of a TV series or whatever and be a producer on it or be a director on it from somebody from like 10 years ago. and be like, I remember when you were like doing this, and I was like, I like this kid, so I called you 10 years later. You know what I mean? It's
So I
like,
picked up the phone and
called
called you 10 years
I remember
later.
this kid. And I'm telling you, it's crazy how like people don't forget good people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you could watch a self-tape and you're just like, yeah, not right. But like, oh man, I really loved how he did that.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be perfect for this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why it's important that even if you don't get it, even if you felt like you did shit.
Yeah.
Be a good person, be nice, be you, and interact and get to know them. And now it's like, you know, like for you and I, like we worked together on one project together. That's how we met. Completely random. You were one of my actors in one of my commercials that I did. And you had one line, and that was it. You had one line, and it's like that's how we connected. But like I saw your work ethic, I saw your professionalism. You know, you're fun on set. You're good at what you do. You're easy to direct, and I remember you. And you know what I mean? But we haven't really spoken since. We never hung out or anything like that. Like,
don't
you know
tell
what I
them
mean?
we don't hang out.
You know, but like, and then it comes down to like, okay, now I'm starting this podcast. And I was like, hey, I remember Sabrina. Like, it would be good to have an actor in here. Someone who knows what they're doing.
It's like, that's like hey, I remember Sabrina. I was like, what? Who's that weirdo? Yeah, it's crazy. And like, again, even if they don't cast you, right? Like, I remember, oh God, I auditioned for this like student film.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it because it was more about, again, it's about like the character as opposed to like, oh, you are the only applicant. Congratulations. Right. But like, you know, they referred me to another person that was doing like another dramatic film. And like I auditioned for that and like I got that. So it's like, again, we can't think of it as failure, right? Like these are just more opportunities.
Yeah.
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 And like, I'm just hoping there are lots more opportunities.
The trick is just like, how do I make enough to live and keep doing this, right?
Yeah.
That's the trick at the end of the day. And there's no like textbook for that.
No.
It's just, you got to keep grinding, you got to keep hustling.
Yeah. And like, I find that you just have to also invest in this career as like an actor and obviously as a filmmaker. Yeah. You can't shoot like with nothing and
true.
acted.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's like, oh man, acting classes, they're like $500 for like 6 weeks. It's
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, you got to do it.
You got to do it.
You gotta find a
Headshots
way.
are expensive.
I just got headshots. Yeah. Like and you got to get them like every couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to update how you look. Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's not only like money, but time. Yeah. Right. And in our industry, like we could be working any time of the day. Like I was just filming like a Christmas short yesterday until like 2 a.m. Right. I had a great time. Yeah. Right. But like you don't know how long you'll be working. You don't know when you'll be working. True. So it's like you just have to dedicate yourself to
you don't know when your next gig is.
No.
And I think that's a very common thing throughout the industry, regardless of where you land in the industry. Like every time I do commercial, I don't know if I'm gonna get another one. That's just a reality of it, right? And if you kind of understand that reality and you're like, I'm gonna spend this time building my brand or building this or whatever it is you're doing, as long as you keep building yourself and whatever it is you're doing, whether you're a company or brand or whatever, like you're developing, you're getting better. Yeah. And like you said, which I really liked, is every single, I guess, especially for beginners, but every single day, this is the worst you're ever going to be at what you do, because it truly does get better. You truly get better as long as you're doing it. Yeah. And you're never going to suck more than you do today. Like that's just.
I'm never going to suck more than I do in this chair.
Exactly.
Right now.
And if you go and you keep, I don't know, practicing monologues in front of the mirror, like how can you get worse? Right? Like you just got to keep doing it. Yeah. Just keep on going and keep doing it.
And like, you know, what I find is like, again, you talk to different people. Yeah. Right. And again, this is an expensive industry. Very. Like any art, like if you're a painter, you got to buy all the paint, you got to buy all your canvas, right? Like
canvas,
you're a dancer,
the brushes,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's like, I think there's kind of this misconception in our industry that like you just start making so much money.
And it's like, oh man, not even close.
When people, oh my God, when people, you know, if I meet someone new, it's like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh man, do I tell them I'm an actor? Because I'm also a tutor, so I tutor like math and English. Okay, right, like on the side. Yeah, it's important to have a job that's flexible. Yes, right. And like as an actor,
You gotta make a living.
Yeah. You need to like have money to do things,
to pay rent,
right?
And
Eat
and to get to auditions.
I will say the self-tape era, I love it.
Saved you a lot of money, huh?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I did this other audition. I love how I didn't get it. So
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, I didn't get it. So it was like, I think like my second in-person audition that I've had, right? Like during COVID, like since COVID, right? And it had been a few months since the last one that I didn't get. And I remember, oh my God, it was like a paid gig, right? I was like, that's very nice. But it was only like 4 or 5 lines in the audition, right? And I was like, okay, it's not a self-tape. All right. Like one benefit of at least being in the room is you can develop kind of a rapport with whoever's there. You can get direction.
Yes.
Because in a self-tape, there's no direction.
Yeah.
You either get what they want
or you don't.
Or you don't, right? Like sometimes they just don't have the time to watch all of these tapes in their like in the whole duration.
Yeah.
And like I heard like it's about like 6 seconds to capture their attention. If not, bye.
Boom. Yeah.
Right. But like at least with a self-tape, you can take your best take, right? You can mess up. You can watch yourself and you're like, oh, I actually think I can do that better. And then you have another chance.
It's a different process for sure. Like it's not like real auditioning.
No. And then like, because like when you go into the room, again, there's the nerves.
Yeah.
I remember I walked into this one that I'm telling you about right now. There was like 12 people. Yeah. I'm like, who is 12 people? There was like a board meeting.
Damn,
they had like,
wow.
And I walked in and like, it was just like kind of silent.
That's crazy. That's like how many opinions that is, like trying to balance that. That's crazy.
And like, oh, it's so funny. So it was like the people that like, so the people that kind of wrote it.
Yeah.
And like, you know, were the art side of it.
Yeah.
And then they hired the production people to actually like direct and like produce and like all that stuff. Right. So it was like all of them there.
Yeah.
And I remember I walked in and like one guy, because I knew one guy, he referred me, right? So like my friend referred me to like these 2 people, right? So I walk in and like the one guy is like, oh, Sabrina, like, oh, so-and-so said so much about you, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then the director's like, hello. And then like shook my hand so hard. I was like, okay, it's that kind of audition, eh?
Yeah.
I was there for like 2 minutes and then it was done. They were like, okay, thanks, bye. And I was like, okay. And then I left and I was like, it took me an hour and a half to get here. I'm like, you know
all
what?
this just for 2 minutes.
Self-tapes, no, I like them.
Yeah,
like you could do it from your house.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, oh, you spend the money to get there. It's an hour and a half. You're in the room for 2 minutes and they see so many people that they're like, okay, bye. Yeah. Right? You're like, okay, this is bad.
It's part of the game, you know. You know, it's how it is. I mean, I can't say that being a filmmaker is the same because you don't audition, right?
Yeah.
You pitch if anything, but you don't audition. But I mean, you know, I remember when I was early on in my career, like especially when I started getting into broadcast, sometimes you just do a video for somebody, you hand it in, and they're like, "Got it," and then that's it.
Received.
And then you're just like, anything?
Okay.
Is it good? Right. Is it bad? And it's like you don't hear anything. And you know, as a beginner, it beats you up. But as you get later on into the industry, and I guess social media kind of helps because social media is very reactive, right? Like you really get to see what people think about it, right? And I think, you know, as you get later in the industry, you start to realize this is what it is. Yeah. This is just how the game is played. And then, like we go back to what we said all before, like if you just stay true to yourself, you'll be fine.
I remember I was talking to someone and this is like at a point where I was like, the imposter syndrome was like really kicking in during that like month. I was like, I'm terrible. I'm a hack. right? And I was talking to her and she was like, oh man, you know, she was like looking at my Instagram and like my reel and like my website and stuff. And she was like, you have everything. And I was like, that's insane. Because in my mind, like I have nothing. Yeah. But like someone else is like, you have everything. It's crazy. And like that's just the perception of it. Because like I look at other people, I'm like, oh man, like I hope I can reach that level. They have everything. It's
so crazy because like I think that's widespread in the industry. Yeah. You know, sometimes I'll look at somebody's work and I'll be like, I'm like, holy shit, that person's so good. Yeah. And then you're like, like, I wish I had what they had. And then you hear their story and you realize like they're going through the same thing. They're looking at somebody else who's they're thinking that as well, right?
And like I feel like time just kind of gets compressed.
Yeah.
Because you hear like you'll see someone's work,
yeah,
right? And you're like, oh man. And then you look, but they've been doing it for like 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, oh, so-and-so was just cast in this thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll go on their IMDb and like their first credit was like 2003.
Yeah.
I'm like, they've been doing this for
a while.
Yeah. And they just started.
They put in their time and they put in their hustle, right?
And like they started with the small stuff and like, but now they're at like the upper echelon, but like for 20 years they've been working, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you compare yourself and it's like, why?
I think you always, no matter where you are in your career, you can win an Oscar and you want a second one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the
it
doesn't
pressure,
stop.
it's like, I'm never going to be good again.
Exactly. Like I can only go downhill from here, right?
Well,
you never want that feeling. But
I can't remember who was I think it was Jodie Foster.
Right.
Was it Jodie Foster who won like an Academy Award or an Oscar or something? And like her and like Tom Hanks and like all of these amazing actors have talked about like their imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And they talk about how like they feel like they have no talent and like people are gonna find out. And like I think she was like, I'm afraid someone's gonna come and take my award. It's like, oh my God. Yeah.
But it's so true and it's crazy because it's important that, people understand that other people feel this way.
Yeah.
Because it happens all across the board. No matter where you are in your career, you're always gonna feel like this is all I have. Like it's crazy when I first like started like talking about lighting breakdowns and everything. I used to get really nervous because I was like, someone's gonna find out that like I don't know something about this, and like
I'm unqualified. How'd I get here?
Exactly. Until you realize you're just like everybody's here to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And I sometimes get surprised that there's some respected DPs that watch my stuff and they're like, hey man, like I really like that. I didn't know about that, or like I'm gonna start doing that. And I'm like, really? I'm like, but I look up to you. It's crazy how it works. You don't know, and I think. It's just, again, it comes back down to just do it.
Yeah.
Just do you and things will happen.
Yes.
And it'll just happen.
And like, if you work hard at it and like try and learn and improve and like build these relationships, like there's a really good chance it's going to work out for you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And like, I've, again, like with my part of the industry, we've got like union.
Yeah.
And then we've got non-union.
Yeah.
Right. And I just feel like a lot of us, like I'm non-union, right? Yeah. And I feel like a lot of non-union actors are like, oh man, like I'm trying to get into the union and like, I just can't. And it means that I'm terrible. But I'm just like, that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Right. Because like, I know people that have left the union. I know people that have said like, oh, they know people that, because like you can join the union, let's say if you graduate from like Humber, right? You can be actor apprentice after, I believe like before 60 days, you have to apply, right? You can get into the union as an SOC, which is silent on camera.
Right.
Like you could have like a very minor role as a lab technician and you hand someone something, but because it was a union production and like that was a union role and they cast you on like your look, you're in the union. Right. Right. And it's just like, there are people now that you're in the union, like people I've known, like people have said like they got it too quick because now you're in the union. Now you're competing against like the unions, the veteran people that are competing to be on like Murdoch Mysteries that have also been on like 12 different shows.
And you weren't ready for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, it's crazy. Like I met someone that was like talking about how they were part of this project and they went union, like not the actor, like the project is going to be shot union. Yeah. Right. And they were like, yeah, like we just wanted like the best talent. And I was like, I'm like, are you aware that I'm non-union? Like you're telling this to my face. We just wanted like the best actors. I was like, yes. Very good. Yeah. But I don't know, just like there's so many things. It's like, are you in a union? Doesn't matter. Are you like at a certain point in your career? Doesn't matter. You just have to keep going with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And like just the connections that you make.
Is there anything you are currently struggling with still as an actor right now, whether it's emotional or career-based or whatever? Like, is there anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I've said that, like, you know, I kind of like suffer from like imposter syndrome, right? Like it's gotten to like I will never quit in my mind this industry because I truly love this industry. I love acting. I love writing, which I didn't know, right? I love making film, right? Telling stories. But there have been some points where I'm like, wow, I am actually not good enough to be in this industry. And I am afraid that like I'm going to fail and I'm never going to make it. Like I'm not saying like be a Hollywood star, but it's like I'll never get to the point where I hope I get to.
You feel like you're gonna get stuck?
I feel like I'll be like stagnant in like the same level forever. And like to me, that's failure. Right? Like I just, you know, and like in terms of like specifically acting, sometimes I really doubt that like I have like the talent to like ever be in this industry and like actually have a chance at competing against like anybody. Right. But I think a lot of actors struggle with that. Not just like, oh, there's so much competition. I'm like, no, like internally, I'm like, I have no talent. I'm a hack. Like people are going to discover this. They're going to watch like the last movie I was in and like hate it because I was in it. And I'm like, that sounds insane. But like to kind of get past that, I surround myself with good people, talk to other actors about it, talk to filmmakers. And you know, we all kind of suffer from that. Like a little bit.
Yeah. And like, you know, I feel you because honestly, it goes all around the industry. Like it's the same thing for DPs, for everybody, especially directors that can assume, you know, but like, this is where I always talk about, this is why it's important to develop as a person, as a human, to develop yourself beyond just what you do as a craftsman, but like as a human, because everyone I find, like, especially when they're new, they're always looking for what's the practical thing to do. What will make me successful? If I shoot something like this with this camera, oh my God, I'm going to start exploding. And it's like, yes, part of that is part of the game. Like actors, you have to get experience on your resume, right? You have to have a good reel. DPs need a good reel, whatever. Like all that practicality is part of the game. But what keeps you going playing that game is how you handle these moments where you feel like you're not good enough, or you feel like everyone's better than you, or, you know, whatever the case may be. If you can't get through those hard times, you ain't going to make it to the point where you can show your talent. And I think that's why I talk so much on the emotion of what it takes to be part of this industry. Yes, it's not practical. You're not going to make it just because you say, I'm going to make it and I'm going to be positive.
I'm going to be a star.
You know, I'm going to be a star because I'm positive because Danny told me to keep going. You know, like, no, that's not the answer to getting to where you want to go, but you're going to need it as much as the practicality part. Because let's be real, like you said before, the practicality and all the stuff that are practical, it's all out there. You don't need somebody to tell you that you need a good reel. If you need somebody to tell you that you need a good reel, I think you got a long way to go, right? Like you can just go on YouTube and learn how to light. If that's what you want to do, go on YouTube and figure it out. Everyone needs to do that. If you want to learn how to act, go to acting school. You don't need somebody to tell you to do that stuff. It's the stuff, especially as artists, that I found what I struggled the most with is when you're sitting at home alone and you just don't know what you're doing. You're like, I'm honestly, I'm scared. I'm scared of what my future is going to look like. I want to do this, but I don't know if I'm good enough, or I'm shit. And then you have no one to talk to, and you don't know how to handle it. And all those emotions get very overwhelming, and that could stunt your potential. That alone, that battle that you have with yourself could defeat you. You know, it doesn't matter how talented you are, right? Like I work with fighters a lot. And let me tell you, I've seen some of the most talented fighters in the world train inside gyms and to show up on fight day and get completely destroyed. or like get knocked out or be embarrassed. And you just see it's like, that's not them. It's you have to know how to handle pressure situations, like especially as actors, right? Like you go in, you could be the greatest auditioner in the world, but you show up on set and you suck because the lights start turning on and you don't know what to do, or the pressure's too much. Because audition, sure, you have like 3 people, but what happens when there's an entire crew watching you and lights are everywhere, right? And it's there's so much of that has everything to do with just the mental game. And that's what the part you can't really teach people. But I feel like if you talk about it, this is why I always talk about it in my stuff. You talk about it, people are aware of it. They feel like they're not alone, right? You talking about your struggles is going to help other people feel like, hey, Sabrina also goes through that. Like, I'm not alone. And and I think that's the almost the remedy. Is not going to obviously cure you, but I think it's the remedy to those moments where you feel like I'm not good enough. Yeah. You're going to need to hear that somebody else is going through that and that you're not alone.
Yeah. And like, you made a really good point, because it's like, I think, you know, as an actor, as a filmmaker, director, whatever, it's important to also separate your identity from that.
Yes.
Because like as an actor, or like, you know, as a cinematographer, you send in your reel and you don't hear back, right?
Yeah.
It's hard not to take it as like, Danny's being rejected. I'm being rejected as a person.
Feels like
right? And it feels like that, right? Especially because like art is so personal. It's like it's your own personal take on it.
Literally.
Right? Like I didn't make a spreadsheet and like Tom hates it. I'm like, I don't care about Tom. Right? Like but you know, you're so vulnerable and this is like a part of you, right? So when you're kind of rejected in that sense, it's like you take it as like that something's wrong with you, right? Yeah. You're not good enough, where it's like, no, it's just the material. No, it's just your look or whatever. It's not what they need. And once you kind of separate that, it gets a little bit easier.
When you stop searching for the answer that you'll never know.
Yeah.
And you just start accepting it.
Yeah.
And let that just kind of push you forward and build you to be better.
Yeah.
Then you start to realize that's the game.
Yeah. And like, for me, it's so funny because like as an actor, like I love obviously film and TV.
Yeah.
I grew up watching it, like love it so much. And the portrayal of struggling actors, right? It's just a lot of it, some of it's accurate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of it's not. Right. Because like when you watch a movie, right? That's like a struggling actor, a struggling athlete, you know, Rocky, right? It's like they kind of make it seem like there's some big opponent, right? You know, you just got to defeat that one thing and then it's all going to be uphill from there. It's like, you know, your enemy, but like, again, let's say particularly from an acting standpoint, my rejection isn't like going into the casting room and like the guy's like, see, you can't act, kid. Like, get out of here. And I'm like, I'll show you. Right? Like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to be, right? Like, for me, it's just the silence.
The silence, man.
It's the silence. Yeah. It's the feeling like you're not getting anywhere.
Exactly.
Right? There's no opponent, right? Like, I can't do the fight, the final
There's
fight.
nothing to fight.
Yeah. But you're fighting yourself.
Yes.
Right? And you're fighting, like, your urge to just be like, okay, yeah, it's me. I'm not talented, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case.
And I feel like a lot of people are scared of that battle against themselves. Like a lot of people don't want to face that music. So a lot of times it drives them insane, and it drives them to the point where it's this person's fault or it's this person, or they project that insecurity on other people.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes you just gotta, like, you're like, I didn't do the best I could. Like, you know what?
That's the most I can do.
That's the best. Yeah. You're like, because you're not going to be ready for every opportunity that comes your way at the moment, right? Yeah. Like if in November 2019, an amazing casting director was like, somehow, do you want to audition for this film? I wouldn't have gotten it. It would have been crap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you just have to learn and grow and keep going. Yeah. Like John Hamm, right? Like the star of Mad Men, right? again, I go on YouTube and I'm like, actors that have faced rejection, right? It's like, oh, what did he say? Oh, his agent, I think, dropped him because he didn't book anything for 3 years.
Wow.
And if you can imagine not booking something,
3 years.
3 years.
Wow.
And then, he kept going. I think you kind of reach this it's like you're standing on this like precipice. It's like, okay, do I keep going?
Right.
Or do I not?
Right.
Right. And for him, he was like, well, I'm just going to keep going. Right.
Yeah.
And like, he was cast in Mad Men and like he was just in Top Gun Maverick too. Like he's
crazy now. Yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's doing great.
John Hamm's great. He's doing great. So it's like, hearing about the stories. Like I don't like to hear. Well, success stories are nice. I like to hear about like people overcoming like their adversity. Yes. Because it's never like. It's not like he was battling his agent, right? It's like he didn't book anything for 3 years and he had to probably take a look at himself and be like, do I keep going?
I think John Krasinski had the same story with The Office. Yeah, I think he had he graduated from school. He told his parents he's going to be an actor. And his parents said, you got 1 year or something like that. Now, don't quote me on these exact words, right? I could be wrong, but like he did mention something about how he has 1 year. And so when he did The Office, he was like, that was almost his last hurrah in acting. And you got to think The Office had some big stars, Seth Rogen's and people. Better Call Saul actor was auditioned for it. Like a lot of big names auditioned for that.
Yeah. Oh, I think I saw some audition tapes. For that.
It's crazy, right? Like the names that were in that, and John Krasinski got the role.
Yeah.
And at that time, nobody knew who the hell he was. He's just Jim Halpert, right? And now he's seen as Jim Halpert. But like, look what he's grown into, right? Yeah. Into a director. He's done big like Hollywood films now. Like he's done Jack Ryan. He's done The Quiet Place, and like he's doing amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like those stories are the stories. Like I want to hear about how he did that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's the resilience factor. Like you said, like John Hamm, not 3 years. A lot of people can't handle that.
Like 3 straight years.
That's crazy.
That is
like that's a lot of time to not do your thing.
And I think and like a lot of actors leave the industry not because of like they don't like it anymore. It's just you can't like like for some people that maybe just like wanted to do it, but like they just it's a lot like all that just not getting anywhere. And like for me, like. I'm at a great place right now because I don't have like kids to support and like things like that. But like some people have families, they have responsibilities.
And their life changes.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone's circumstances are different.
Yeah.
You don't know what, like, some people just, as talented as they are, perhaps they just never found the right role in their auditions, and they can't pay rent now and they got to go get a job. And then that job overwhelms them. Then it just becomes like, everyone has their own story.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's not good to compare yourself to everybody else to say, well, blah, 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 didn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I think it's important that you stick to your own path.
Yeah. Like we all have different journeys. And
exactly.
It's like, when you like John Krasinski, right?
Yeah.
It's like some people that don't know, maybe don't even know him from The Office, right? They're like, who's this guy that like suddenly got all these things? It's like, he's been acting for a while now.
Yeah.
like he didn't just like immediately get cast in
like
the MCU.
Exactly. Like this guy's been in The Office for a decade.
Yeah.
And
So it's like in terms of that, and like I know people that like work regular jobs and they're trying to balance acting, and it's so hard. It's
crazy.
Because like as an actor, especially before, it's a little bit better now because we can do the self-tapes.
Yeah.
But before it's like you have an audition at 2 p.m. Then next day at 11 a.m. It's like, but I have a job.
I can't call it off. Which one do you go for?
Yeah. And then it's like, I think when you get to a point where you're like, oh, I need this. I need to book it. That's when it starts to really affect you. Because like
that pressure.
Yeah.
That pressure is tough.
Bryan Cranston, right? I was watching an interview with him and he was saying things like, it's not about booking the job, even though it is. It's not about booking like it's kind of
yeah,
is.
It kind of is, but yes.
But I know what he means. Like that, but like it's not about booking the job. It's like you go in there, you do your best, you show what you can do, and then you let it go.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't let it go, if you're like if you send in your like reel and you're like, oh man, haven't heard back. Why didn't they why? It'll eat you alive.
It literally handicaps you from
Yeah.
going on to your next opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like coming off of like, you could just get rejected from something and then you have an audition. You're like, okay, I have to pretend that rejection didn't happen.
But you have to.
Yeah.
You really
Yeah.
do. You really have to you
Yeah.
have to embrace the shit.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Embrace the shit.
Embrace the shit.
Embrace the shit.
Move on. The number one biggest mistake you can make in this industry is allow anything and everything to cripple you.
Yeah. And I find that like as an actor, because the statistics are not in your favor.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your foot in the door. What I've started doing is like making my own content again with like writing and like doing
Which you should. I think
right?
that's a big move for actors.
And like in my opinion, this is again, it's the best time to be an actor.
Yeah.
Like imagine in the 80s or 90s trying to make something.
You can't even get a camera.
Like where are you gonna go?
Where are you gonna go? How are you gonna do it?
Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
You show your grandma? Like
Yeah. Most
like,
you can do is maybe theater and
do you have like $100,000 to like get
exactly.
in the theater?
Like yeah.
Right? It's like now you have YouTube, you even have TikTok, right?
Cameras are affordable. You can get a friend to point it at you.
You can you could film with like a really good phone if you have to, right?
Exactly.
So it's like there are just more opportunities now.
Yeah.
And again, yes, there is more competition, but you can't look at it that way because that'll eat you alive too. It's like, okay, yes, you like on Facebook, right? Like if I see an acting gig that's paid and I saw it like an hour after it was posted and there's already like 100 people applying, I'm like, that's okay. All right. I'm still going to apply. Right. If I like, but make your own stuff.
Yes.
If
create your own opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because someone might see it.
Yes.
Right. Like it's kind of crazy. So my friend David and I, we filmed a horror film called Dolly. Right.
Yeah.
And it was the two of us at this like cabin. So we filmed it for like $150. Okay.
Yeah.
And we got this like stupid creepy ass doll from like Kijiji. Like looked all fucked up.
Yeah.
Right. So we got it and we were like, ha ha ha, let's film this like thing. And I was like, okay, I'll come up with something in the dollar store as we're buying this stuff. So we film it. It took like 10 hours. We posted it on YouTube and I think it's at like 212,000 views. Wow. I'm like, how the hell?
Jeez.
I'm like, it's like the least amount of time. Of course, the least amount of time. Like we didn't think it was going to do anything.
Everyone's going to see it. Yeah.
And then it just kind of like blew up a little bit. And we were like, what the hell? But you're like, oh man, that's amazing. I'm like, well, do you know why we made that? We made that because we both applied to be on a 48-hour the film project.
Yeah.
We got rejected from that.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get on a team.
Yeah.
So it's like you could be like, we didn't get on a team. Let's be sad about it. Or
do something.
And then we made Dolly, and then that happened. So it's like,
and it's rinse and repeat.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. If you don't get the job, do something. Make an opportunity.
Make an opportunity.
If you get it, do your best job that you can. It's just rinse and repeat.
And like, because like in every industry, no matter what it is, like no one is going to come around and give you an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have like amazing connections and then you're just like, hi, I'm born into this.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I be in this movie? They're like, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you have to make your own opportunity or nothing's going to happen.
Nothing's going to happen. Yeah.
It's like one of like my favorite kind of quotes I also go by is luck favors the prepared. Right? So it's like, yeah, certain people, again, like there are a lot of talented people out there that unfortunately will never make it to the level that they're hoping to make it. Whether it's like a fighter, right? Singer, dancer, actor, right? There are so many talented people that just like, they haven't gotten the opportunities to like get there.
Sometimes it's not even opportunity. I won't lie. Like there's people in my life, and I'm not going to mention their names, but there are people in my life where I'm just like, that thing you're doing, you are so fucking talented at it. Your problem is not opportunity. Yeah. Your problem was you.
Wow.
You didn't seek the opportunity. You didn't allow yourself to put yourself in that space, to put yourself in those opportunities, to get opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but you're so freaking talented. And it sucks when you see that. And then you start to analyze why. And you look around, you're like, most of it's environment. The people they're around, they don't seek opportunities. No. they don't understand that lifestyle. And when you put yourself around those people, you are a product of your environment. We as humans, we're energy sponges.
Oh, that's great.
You know, we're energy sponges, right? Like if I'm around a bunch of people who tell me that I'm never going to be a DP, I'll never be a DP if I keep myself in that space.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just how we are. Right. If you got a bunch of people around you telling you you're the best and you're the shit, you're going to think you're the shit. Right. You got like all these girls around you telling you how hot you are. You're going to think you're hot. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's how it is. Yeah. Right. And I sometimes see people's environments and I'm just like, God damn, that is a tragic story.
That's sad.
You know, that's a tragic story. And then there's people out there that just are in the process of finding it. And I'm just like, you know, they just needed a good environment and you try your best to help them find that environment. And, you know, there's some people you see so much potential in. So it's absolutely, this whole thing is really like everything we talked about and just putting yourself in a position to find opportunities that in a lot of ways kind of service and help you continue to grow, whether you get it or you don't.
Yeah.
But put yourself in that position to get that opportunity. Yeah. And I think you'll, like, I've always said there's no way you can lose if you keep trying.
Oh, you made a great point about the environment, like the people who you surround yourself by, right? Because it's like, I think in life, obviously, again, everyone has a different story. Everyone has different home life and circumstances. Like some people, you know, they don't have to work 3 jobs, right? Yeah. Like I remember, because like I went to university, I went to U of T, right? And I had to work 2 jobs while I was there, right? And then also travel back and forth between Mississauga and Toronto via transit. That was terrible.
That's crazy.
It was 2.5 hours. Yeah, that was awful.
I know. I used to date someone in Mississauga, so I know how that was.
Yeah. Terrible time.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, it was kind of a lot. And I remember, like, we had to do some essay. I did, like, a criminology, right? So it was, like, some class. And we were standing outside the classroom, and some girl I never talked to before. She was super nice.
Yeah.
We were talking about like, oh, like, did you finish the essay? Like, what'd you get on it? I got an 84, which is an A-.
Yeah.
She got like an 87, which is an A.
Right.
So there's like a difference there, right? And we were talking about like, so like how long did it take you to do it? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you know, like I had to go to work and then I had to, she was like, oh yeah, you know, I don't have a job. So like, I don't have to work. And, you know, like my parents are going to pay for my law school and all of this. I'm like, okay, we have different circumstances.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, right? But like, we both worked hard, and it's like, it's not like I'm gonna crap on her for like having an easier time than me.
Right.
But like at the same time, it's like, am I gonna just not do well and use that as an excuse?
Yeah.
It's like, I have 2 jobs, I can't do well. No, you have to like work with the circumstances that you're given.
There's always gonna be someone who has better situation than you,
yes.
And it's gonna be people who have worse. It's always gonna be that way.
Yes, there's people doing way better than you. People like not given the best chances. Yeah. Right. And again, it's hard to overcome adversity. So hard. Yeah. But like at the same time, especially in our industry, it's like sometimes you don't have multiple chances.
Yeah. Yeah. So you gotta be prepared, right?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, at the end of the day, like we said, there's no magic solution to anything because everybody has their own story. But, you know, the commonality I think we're all coming to is if you stay true to you and you keep working on you without focusing on all the negative, it's so easy to gather a negative perspective. So instead of focusing on a negative, just focus on you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always have to be positive. We understand that, right? But like, if you can try to turn it into positive, you're developing, you're growing, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So last final words before we stop this. Sabrina, do you have any words for anybody who wants to do this? What is your advice to the young bucks in this industry?
Okay. Run. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, get in shape.
What are you doing? Are you insane? Are you be an actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say kind of like what I just said. One, just you do it because you love it. So really, before you even start thinking about if you want to be in this industry, think about why you want to be in this industry. Do you want to be an actor, tell stories? Would you be happy working for free for a very long time? would you be satisfied doing community theater? Like whatever it is, or do you just kind of want to be famous? Because if it's the latter, you're going to have a very bad time. Like there's not a lot of money in it initially. So really make sure you love it. Again, take some acting classes, volunteer on some sets. I started actually with extra work to see if I wanted to be on a professional set,
right?
Because you're there for like 12, 15, 18 hours. And you see what it's like. Yeah. You can see like, you know, all the actors doing their cool stuff. And then like just how long you're there and how many takes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like you're not doing like one take and then you're leaving. Like it's like a lot. Yeah. So make sure you love it. Try it out, volunteer on some sets, be a PA, get some coffee, like do whatever you need to do. See if you like being on set, take classes, and then just be yourself. Just stay true to yourself and you will go so far.
That's amazing. Thank you, Sabrina. I know we can go on for another 2 hours, but you know, but I appreciate you coming here and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Cut.